President William Ruto's radical tax reforms, and to help us have that conversation is CPA Wangeshi Warui, who is a tax consultant and also lecturer on matters taxation. A very good morning to you.
Very good morning, Stanley.
Right, welcome to TV47.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, let's talk about now measures the government should take to address the tax evasion, because it has been rampant in the country.
Okay, first I would want to explain what is tax evasion. When we talk of tax evasion, this is illegal in a professional way of once reducing the tax burden, but you are contravening the tax law. So in that case, the government should always try to put measures to prevent this tax evasion, and those are the ones that we are going to look at them one by one, because I feel like sometimes people evade tax due to ignorance. Some don't even know much about taxation. So number one, I would request the government to at least have civic education. Let them educate the taxpayers on what is taxation. Not the mentality. People have the mentality, when I hear of tax, I hear government trying to take money from me. But can you now educate people really understand what is taxation? Because if I really, exactly. Because if I know what is taxation, then I know what is required of me. But number one, people don't know much about it. Some people, maybe you're just running a business and you hear KRA are coming and you start running because you don't know much about taxation. So that is number one, civic education. Educate people about taxation, let them know more about taxation. And number two, I would also ask, for example, now that we have a new government in place, the approach maybe they would have used to prevent people from evading tax. Number one, I try using it, not playing as per se, but can you try to play with people's psychology in a manner that let people know you are for us and not against us.
So basically making it friendly as
yes, exactly.
And public relations.
Exactly. Because by coming with a thing like we are going to lower the tax rate, maybe with even something small, not now telling us we are going to increase the tax rate, but if you lower the tax rate, where everybody now feels, because like now I believe for people who go to church, they know at the end of the month, some pay tithes. It comes from your heart because you know, you've been told so much about it, you've read about it, and you know, I need this percentage goes to tithe. Can you now make people feel that paying tax is part of me and let people embrace it? And when I say playing with psychologists, tell people now we are for you, not against you, and maybe you lower the tax rate. Instead of increasing the tax rate, you lower the tax rate to make people feel that it is, I have to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and that is taxation. But then don't let people feel like it is very punitive. Try to make it now easier for people to understand and see you are for us and not against us, and that's why you are even lowering the tax rate for me to be able to pay this.
But then at the end of the day, it's just plain words without action. So common mwananchi will ask, fine, I'm paying Caesar, then what is Caesar doing with whatever I'm paying him?
Now that gives us now another point. We talk of accountability and transparency. If you want to collect more money from the taxpayers, can you try to be very accountable and transparent of what you are collecting from us? I, taxpayer Wangeshi, I'll be very happy if I see the government maybe at the end of the year tells us this is what we collected in terms of tax. And from this, what we collected, this is how we spent it. So you break it down, show us this is how I used it. You will make me feel comfortable paying. But if now what is out there is I'm paying a lot of tax, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of corruption. All you hear, there is a case, people are stealing money from the government, people are doing this and this. So you are making the common mwananchi who is paying tax feel like you're just taking money from me to go to somebody's pocket. But if you can now make it your duty to be very accountable and very transparent on what you are collecting from us in form of taxes, you will make us now even have the positive attitude of paying tax. But currently, as we are speaking, people are so negative about paying taxes.
And definitely when during the Taxpayers' Day, the president mentioned about using technology and revamping technology into, you know, collection of taxes, basically. How much effective will this be, the use of technology?
Actually, I feel if they can do that fully, it will be the best thing. that is, in simple terms, I will say, simplify the tax system, because there is a lot of complexity. Maybe even people who are in this room, if I were to ask them, how do you update your PIN, KRA PIN? Some of them don't know. So can you simplify it in a way that even a layman, a lay person can handle his or her tax matters without seeking services of a tax expert? Because like what the president said, if he can do that to a point that I, as a taxpayer, I can just take my phone and I'm able to maneuver in paying taxes or filing my returns, it becomes very easy. But don't complicate it in a way that people don't even know. Like now you tell us pay tax on rental income. People are collecting rental income, but they don't know how to go about it. Unless now you start looking for Kina Wangeshi, who are the tax consultant, to come help us. If we can simplify that, it will be the best thing he can do to collect even more tax and also prevent tax evasion.
Right, and definitely. And now the taxman was tasked to have raise more than 3 trillion, basically, in the next 5 years, from 2022 all the way to 2027. How are these numbers practical, basically? What
I'm saying, you know, even in business, even in your day-to-day, you work with a budget. And budget, it's estimate. You estimate on something that you expect to get, and you also estimate on the expenses that you want to have. So having an estimate of what they want to collect, I don't have a problem with that. But the question is, how are you going to collect this? What are you going to do differently that you have been doing before? And that's why we are saying, if they can allow us sit down on a round table, think of how well can the government do to collect more taxes, because we need to know which magic will they use to collect this that they were not using even before. And that's why we are saying, sitting down, discussing it, exchanging ideas, and also, like I said, making the taxpayer feel more accepted and feel more accommodated, it will be even much better. But all I can say, let's see what they have down to collect this. But don't use this thing of it's like you are coercing people to pay tax. Because the more you try to coerce them, the more you will not even collect that taxes. Because some people even say, you are giving me a bill of 50 million. Where will I get this?
So basically, they'd say, it's better that I just...
Yes, some people even close business and say, let it be. But if they can come up with a way, like now we see even compounding of these things and trying to be more friendly to us and showing us how we can pay it without even being coerced, it can be better. But trying to coerce us, trying to freeze our bank accounts, trying to do all these things may not work at the end of the day.
And obviously, the president's also directed to, have double the current collection by his first term, and also the whole raising the whole trillion. Looking at these numbers, and now, because again, at the end of the day, he might direct it, but then it now doubles up to the National Assembly for these policies to actually be tabled down. What do you expect, as an expert in matters of taxation, with your experience, what should we be expecting in the next coming days from this?
What I can see as Wangeshi now, I see where you find KRA becoming very aggressive to all the taxpayers, visiting your businesses, trying to do all these things. But what I can advise as Wangeshi Warui, and what I can tell the government to do, before you get to that, can you first try to address this issue in a more friendly manner? Don't try to make us feel, because people are already scared right now, even though the deputy president came in and said, we will try to make taxpayers our friends, not our enemies. And I will stick to that. Make us our friends. Let us feel accepted. Let us feel you are not trying to oppress us. You are not going to press us down. Because at the end of the day, Stanley, we must give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But the way you are collecting from us matters a lot. So what I would want, even the business people, like he's talking of taxing wealth and all that, can you first sit down with these people? Like you are talking of public participation, but I would like, instead of you just bumping into my business and doing all that, can you have that meeting? Can you meet with us? Can you even have forums? Explain to us. Let us feel accepted. And one factor I always say that also prevents tax evasion, it's popularity of the government. If you are popular to us, if you are popular to the taxpayers, we will not want to see you fail. fail. So even without telling us to pay, we will pay tax without even you coercing us to do it.
Popular in probably what?
Popular in this, like I said, be more friendly to us. Don't put it like every now and then you are sending KRA to come. Sometimes I don't want to use the word harass, but they are in our shops telling us, can you visit us in this floor? Can you come? Giving us all these things. You know, you are already scaring us. But can you make it so friendly where I can even come? Like now they gave the voluntary disclosure. I come disclose to you, yes, this is what I have. But can you give me favorable terms of how I can pay this? Can you now make it so favorable to me? Not that I don't have anything in the bank and still you are telling me to pay taxes. Because one characteristic of tax, we levy tax where there is an income. So you cannot ask tax where there is no income, and that can only be achieved if you're more friendly to me and you allow me to come and speak with you. Give us that platform of coming, sit down and discussing it with you and making it better or fair for me to pay that without forcing or giving me unachievable figures.
You've actually mentioned about fair, and I was actually coming to that, the whole principle of equity, the whole canon of equity. And this is one thing that the president has once and many times spoken about, having a fair playground in his tax reforms. At the end of the day, is this achievable? Now
that you mentioned it, let me say, there is an economist called Adam Smith who was the first person to explain what is an optimal tax system. And what Adam Smith said, an optimal tax system or a good tax system must always satisfy the canon of equity. And when we talk of the canon of equity, this is where someone pays tax in accordance to one's ability, but not equal amount for everyone. What does that mean? It means let me only pay tax that I'm able to. And that's why he came up with the vertical equity and horizontal equity. As in this case, it says the higher the income, the higher the tax. So you find you can't tax the poor. What are you taxing? That's why you find, and I'm happy because in Kenya we are using the progressive rates of taxes. As the income increases, tax also increases. But at any given time, let's satisfy the canon of equity. And I've had so many people complain because our president said anyone 18 years, anyone who has an ID must have a PIN. But now before we get to that, let's ask ourselves, why are they having the PIN? Is it to pay tax? Because there is this...
Is it before, even as you continue, is this sort of good news to Kenyans? Should it be good news that you should concurrently be having your carrier PIN? But then at the end of the day again, should this have been done way before? When you're collecting your national ID, you have all the documents ready.
But the question is, why the PIN? ID, we know why we should have it, but for the PIN, like now there are many things you can't do without a KRA PIN. But what I'm trying to say, I may have a KRA PIN, but I don't have an income, so I'm not taxed because we tax where there is an income. Having a KRA PIN, it means the only problem will come, you get that KRA PIN and you have not been told with that PIN, with or without an income, you must file your returns at the end of the year. So you may find somebody taking a PIN, they don't know they need to file their returns, and with that now penalty starts accumulating.
And at the end of the day, they just file.
So at the end of the day, when you want to use your PIN, you are told, can you first pay? You owe us penalties. That's the only problem. But if somebody is told, with this PIN that you're getting, at the end of the year, whether you have an income or not, you must file your returns. Because like now, the other time I was here, we talked about it. So many people are inboxing me. I took my PIN in 2014. I didn't know I needed to file the returns. Imagine 2014 to today, being charged 2,000 every year. How much are you going to pay? If it is you register a company, it is not running. You don't know you needed to file a new return. So at the end of the day, you are charged 20,000 per annum for failure to file your returns. So all I'm saying, let people be educated more about taxation. Because it is not bad to pay tax at the end of the day. Because obviously, like we said, you are giving Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And if you tithe, why not pay even the tax? So what I'm saying, it is not a bad thing, but let's educate people. Let people know what is tax in a very simpler manner. And we may not have so much problems.
And still the whole progressive tax, as you're explaining, the common mwananchi is trying to wrap, their heads around this. When President, and even, recently he said that there's no way the wakubwas and people who earn a lot of money, they are taxed this amount, and, sort of similar to the common, the mama mboga and also the baba mboga. How should, the common mwananchi be understanding all this?
I really don't understand when you say common mwananchi is taxed the same as the people, because like we said, the progressive taxes. For example, in Kenya, if you earn below 24,000, you do not pay any tax. But above 24, you are taxed. Maybe you 10%, then you go to 15%, you go to 25% like that, or 10, 25, 30. So you see, as the income is increasing, tax is also increasing. But maybe for the corporation tax rate, that is where it is a proportional rate of tax, where you use a flat rate at all levels of income. So if I made a profit of 20,000, I pay at 30. If I made a profit of $1 million, I pay at 30. If I pay a profit of maybe 100 million, I'm paying at 30. But you find at the end of the day, we are using a flat rate, but the tax is increasing as income is also increasing. So maybe you say like kama VAT, the rich is paying the same as the poor. Because if you're charged at 16%, something that I'm buying from the supermarket, I'm charged at 16, and the person who is more richer is also paying at 16%. Maybe that's what he's trying to explain on the same. But in Kenya, so far, so good, because we are trying to bridge the president is speaking of trying to bridge this gap between the rich and the poor by taxing the rich more than the poor, but it has been happening all along.
So basically it's sort of good news to have, rather we are in the right trajectory of ensuring that everyone has a KRA pin.
But I'm saying you may have a KRA pin, but you don't have an income. But at the end of the day, you need to file nil return. So having a KRA pin, it's still okay, because now the moment you start earning, you will not now start trying to run to get the KRA pin.
Right.
Yes.
And let's talk about with the current affairs in the country and all that. The whole cost of living is high, and OPEC Plus is actually set to increase the fuel prices and all that. How will this be affecting? And mostly the president's regime moving the next 5 years. How will this be affecting vis-a-vis ensuring that the taxman raises this 3 trillion versus whatever is actually the reality of things in the ground?
All I can say, let's not try to tax more to guess more. But like we said, looking at the tax rate just changed last year, and you found the way we were graduating is not the way we are graduating. They had lowered the corporation tax rate, but it has gone back to 30. I don't expect them to increase the tax rate from 30, because I think the way we are taxed fairly. All we can do is try and avoid tax evasion, because people who are evading tax, if they can come and join us in the taxable capacity, the tax brackets, I think they can raise that. Because I don't deny, or I cannot say people are not evading tax. There are so many areas where tax is getting its wings and all. So if, like I said, you will make people understand by trying to get money which you should have given the KRA will make more richer, that will be better. And that's why you are trying, let's be friends, let's make people pay tax without coercing them, without forcing them, but making them understand why it is important for you to pay the tax. Because there is also something we talk of tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is where you reduce your tax burden without contravening any tax law. And that one is not punishable by law. But we keep asking ourselves, tax avoidance, is it ethical? Because like I said, it will take us back to accountability and transparency. Because I may choose not to avoid tax if I can see taxes are well utilized. There is transparency on what is collected. There is transparency on the accountability bit of it. So I will not feel bad, because I'm left with what is mine. I'm giving government what is theirs. So if we are able to address this issue of tax evasion, collecting that money, it's very easy.
All right, so basically should there be like strict measures on the whole tax evasion? Because again, this is a whole paradox of trying to be friendlier, but then at the end of the day, you actually want to evade and curb this whole tax evasion. Should we be having strict kind of measures? We've been hearing, you did mention the whole Keroche breweries. There are quite a number of them in the country, the whole large scale and also small scale per se. So
you may find maybe a company is big. Sometimes maybe they don't have the right professionals in the company. So in the process, you find they are not paying the correct tax as it should have been done. But maybe when you are subjected into a compliance check, or maybe they comes and audits you, they may come and find that you have not been submitting the correct tax. And we are demanding you to pay this. So what I'm saying, if you come in a more friendlier manner, instead of maybe freezing my accounts and all that, tell me this is what we have, and we feel you needed to pay us this amount of millions which you have not given us. Can we now sit down and agree? Me, I will pay this, but give me better terms of paying this. Because if I'm told maybe it's 50 million, I'm not told give us that 50 million, because at that point I don't have. Maybe I'm given payment plan, which is there. It is available in KRA. I've done that for my clients and we are paying comfortably, because maybe they were running, they didn't involve a tax expert. And then when they are caught now, they look for us. And when we come in and do the computation field, fine, this is what you needed to give, which you didn't give. So the only thing we can do here, let's go sit down with them and be given a favorable payment plan, and it is available. So you are given payment plan and you find yourself paying kidogo and you're not even feeling it. So it is very possible to do that. But the moment you come closing the accounts, going to courts, doing all these things, it becomes very tedious and you may find some business closing down. But I want to appreciate the government, because even now when we go to tribunal to execute some cases, sometimes we opt, let's not go to court, let's go to alternative dispute resolution. It is available in KRA, ADR, where you sit down and agree. No, I don't think it's this. They tell you, no, it is this. And then at the end of the day, you agree. After agreeing, then give me a favorable payment plan. And sometimes you are the one who gives them. Then they tell you, no, you need to add this. And at the end of the day, you live there happy and you continue paying your taxes.
And now, again, back to the whole common mwananchi, in every single government, each government has its own, rather, each president has their own, ambitious tax reforms.
Yes.
We always quote back in the late Moi Kibaki's times where, the whole tax reforms, they were brilliant. And then now, Uhuru Kenyatta's, tenure, there was a lot of borrowing. Now, President William Ruto has come with his own ambitious, tax reforms. Each kind of government has their own
tax reforms.
Reforms. Where does this leave? Because what in the next government, what if they say that they want KRA to be tougher and not friendlier? Where does this leave now the common mwananchi?
I want to believe, just like anyone who is in leadership, when somebody comes with their reforms, they feel this is the best, it will favor us and it will make us do better than the way we were doing better. So nobody can come with reforms thinking, I want to sink. They want to make it better and collect more. So what I can say and urge the government as a tax expert and a tax consultant, I like the attitude they have right now. But what I would want, instead of using that coercing people, severe punishment and all that, let's be more friendlier to the taxpayer. And I will keep repeating that word. Let us be more friendlier. Let us feel accepted as taxpayers. Let the person who is down there, because I was saying, like, if you lowered the tax rate, number one, you've already won people's heart, because you've told them you will not continue being taxed at this rate. We want to lower tax with something small so that you are able to pay this. And the moment they do that, you find even people paying tax and saying, hey, the government came, they've lowered the tax rate, and maybe you have lowered with something small. Or you put a rate that everybody will pay without feeling that pinch. You're seeing, I'm just paying something small. So you are even looking for that date so that you can pay yours. But I think they feel like it is very hard. But the way I've interacted with people in this profession world of taxation, I can tell you, if only you can be more friendly to people and don't make KRA, people fear KRA, because you have even seen memes on social media, people saying KRA is watching. This person is watching. It is like people already have that fear. If you can change it and make people feel now, this is the right way, this is the right path, I'm not being punished by paying my taxes, it will be better.
So basically, there's no impact in the successive regimes, which each regime wants a different kind of reform.
Yeah, you know, every time you become a leader, you may want to change because you may feel they didn't achieve what, and maybe even you seated there, maybe you are looking at those leaders and you're like, if it were me, I would have done this and this, and I will achieve more. Same case with them. When they are seated and see how the government was running, they feel, if I do this way, I will collect it. But how do you address it? How do you approach it? That matters a lot. Because I'm sure he's doing that to better Kenya, not to make Kenya worse.
And speaking of how to approach things, Ruto, you know, but still on the whole, taxing the wealth, most of the wealthy people, they own rather a huge chunk of the country's economy. And again, per se, most of them are his friends, close associates. So again, at the end of the day, Kenyans are asking, how will you manage to actually, you know, be able to tax these people to the latter?
I always tell people, do not bring friendship in. Because the moment you do that now, that one, obviously people are seeing, people are watching. Because like there's somebody who asked me a question which I could not answer and I cannot mention it here, asking, this person, KRA required this person to pay a lot of money. But now we feel like this person will not pay because of the government and they are friends. So me, what I would ask the president, whether somebody is your friend or not, and maybe they have tax arrears, let us all have payment plan, let them pay, not lock them out of business, not freeze their bank accounts, but sit down like we said, compound all this. Or number one, sit down, let them have a payment plan, but you cannot say, I'm going to waive everything. You are not going to pay anything. And sometimes they also come with the tax amnesty where they tell you, we will remove all the penalties and interest, but can you pay your principal tax? You see. So let them come with the way, but we cannot say because I'm friends with the president, I will not pay tax. No, that is wrong, and I don't even think the president can do that and can allow that.
Right.
Yes.
Your final words on right now, if you're to have a sit down with the president himself and you know, advice on his finance reforms, what will you say as your final words?
Now, if I were to sit with the president today on a round table, now talking as Wangeshi,
probably having a cup of tea.
a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, I will tell the government, it is easy to collect these taxes. And if you want to know how easy it is, look for us tax experts who are, and tax consultants who are interacting with the common mwananchi down there, who is interact with big businesses, because we sit down with them and also try showing them the tax planning and all these things. And I will tell you, collecting tax is very easy. Very, very easy. But how possible is that? I take you back to what I've repeated. Be friends with the taxpayers. Don't act like you are enemies. The moment you sit down with the taxpayers, even those people who have huge debts with KRA, sitting down with them and telling them, we are here to support you. We are not here to make you close your business. We are not here to make sure your business goes down and it's taken by other people. We are here to make you succeed. All we want is give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Right. Sit down with them, agree with them, even have forums with taxpayers, even the ones who are paying less, the ones who are paying more. Have forums, sit down with them, let them understand really what is this tax. We know tax is a compulsory contribution, but how well can I do to pay these taxes? So, Bwana President, sit down with your people, sit down with the taxpayers, send your people, let's have a sitting, let's try help you on how you can collect all the tax evaded and how you can be able to collect
Thank you very much. I think we should really look